Hello, everyone, and you're very welcome to this EFL reaction show for the Man United agenda game against Charlton.
Rabble, yeah, muted, buddy.
I was getting a second dose of Take Me Home United Road in my ears, so I was. But take me home, United Road, indeed. It has been an EFL quarter-final, and I'm, of course, joined by OMONDI and Pat for this reaction show. How are we doing, gentlemen?
Yeah, really good, really good. Just want to say it was a great debut today for CALLULA. She done the watch-along. I hope you guys tuned into the watch-along. And yeah, it was good energy. They covered the game, and obviously the game wasn't televised on mainstream, whether the Skies or the BTs. So everyone had to source out a link somewhere. I know a man who can, and Pat was the man who can. And yeah, we managed to watch the game. So myself and Pat managed to watch the whole game, the whole 90 minutes, and it was a thoroughly enjoyable game, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I enjoyed it myself. I thought the game was good. I thought it was great to see a completely, you could say, a surprising lineup. It's great to see Kobe Mainoo started. I couldn't believe it. Great to see Martinez, the low back. But yeah, great game. Some surprising performances in the first half, so I can't wait to get into this.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, usually we slice a Monday with the sponsorship, but I think, just to change it up, Pat, do you want to do the honours or will we leave the job to Monday?
Do you know what? This man flows out the tongue like velvet. I think we should leave it to a Monday, Juma.
Fair enough.
It's all in red now. We've changed the logo. We're going to change it again. Obviously, we know we're sponsored by Global Mapping Surveys, where they assist architects, property developers, and construction companies all over the country. They offer a wide range of services, such as setting out topographical surveys, 3D laser scanning, and monitoring. And check out the link, guys, in the descriptions. That's GMS, Global Mapping Surveys.
Yes, indeed. And I'm seeing already that there's a number of people with smiles on their faces joining us in chat box and Linville. How are we doing, gentlemen? We'll get into your comments momentarily. But of course, the first thing, as always, in these reaction shows, lads, is that lineup. And there was a few surprises, mainly the ones being Alanga starting up top, Manu coming in at the midfield, and then, of course, Tom Heaton, who had a much maligned pre-season, getting that opportunity to play in a big game for Manchester United. On Monday, how necessary, given the schedule that is ahead, was it to make these squad changes today?
Yeah, we had this discussion in the preview show yesterday. We were talking about it. One thing I do appreciate is that the system hasn't changed because, as you know, Bruno was suspended today and Donny van der Beek, unfortunately, is injured, and Donny was the number 2 to Bruno. So we didn't change up. We just brought in a like for like, and a like for like, they didn't have to search too far because they had Kobe Manu, and he's a young player who usually plays a lot deeper than the Bruno role, but today he was expected to play as a sort of number 10 and do what Bruno does. And I thought he performed pretty well. Not outstanding, but pretty well. He showed that he's got good composure and technique on the ball. And the only thing is we'll go into later if you wanted to, but it was just he couldn't really get the familiarity in that role with players that he's not really familiar with playing with against a top unit like Charlton, who really were sitting back and he only had a sort of small area to play in. So it's a good watch and a good experience for him. And we know he's going to get better the more he plays. And as for Langa playing up front, he usually plays wide. He had the responsibility day today. And as you know, Rebel, you've got your ear on the ground when it comes to transfers. We are after a number 9 and a number 9 that can perform certain duties. And I think Langa was struggling today to sort of tick those boxes, coming forward, link up the play, hold up the ball, peeling off defenders, that kind of thing. It was expected. So it was a good watch for those two. One done well as promising for the future, and Langa is maybe we're sort of sniffing around for a position where he can hold down, and I'm worried about his future at the club. I don't know what you think, Pat.
Look, lads, I like Alanga. I was actually a little bit shocked more so to see him up front, even though he got a good chance to play up front under Ralph Ragnick at that time, and he did do well. He was getting a little bit of stick from other players saying he's a bit of a backside licker, you know. But he was up there tonight, and I haven't seen him in that position since Ralph Ragnick. So that I give him a little bit of forgiveness because of that tonight. He was up against the side that were playing defensively. They were trying to catch us on the break. Alanga was up there by himself, not familiar or playing with Camacho, Kobe, or Anthony in that position. So it wasn't the easiest role for him to do today. So I cut him a little bit slack on the base of all them changes, and it's just not familiar to him.
Absolutely, Pat. Absolutely. Now, while we will be talking more about Palestri later on in the show, we did, of course, have the return of our butcher of Manchester next to, as CALLULA calls them, the cement head.
Now,
Well, I don't like that name, and I hope it doesn't stick like concrete.
or go hard. Hey!
Yeah. Here we go. So, as you know, Cement Head is the new nickname on the channel for Harry Maguire, and I thought he performed brilliantly today. Look, we have to consider who performed well. I'm hearing Fred was man of the match, and he was playing well. But we have to consider we're playing against a Charlton outfit who did sort of sit back, and the players that did have a lot of time on the ball to spray it around and weren't really pressured so much were Martinez and Harry Maguire. Charlton weren't going to risk sort of going all out to try and work the ball off them. They only engaged when we got into their half. So that meant Harry Maguire could spray the ball around. Same with Martinez. And really sort of, it was like almost 2-6 formation once we were pinning him back in their half a lot of the time. The only concern that we did have from Charlton is maybe a couple of times when they went on the break, and there's good athletes. I just think overall they were overwhelmed, and the quality isn't there, and maybe the fitness isn't there as well. So I thought Harry Maguire done really well. He was up against a huge target man in a 6'6" Lee Burn, who's the son of Carl, who used to play for Charlton. That's good to see. He's come through the ranks. He's doing really well there. And hopefully in training soon, he'll be up against another 6'6" striker to test him.
Now, as you mentioned, the 6'6" striker, I will just give briefly the tweet from Fabrizio Romano. Manchester United have reached full verbal agreement to sign Wout Weghorst. Understand that the deal will cost £3 million, which is going to Besiktas, and he will then join on loan from Burnley. All that's left is that Besiktas need to rubber stamp the deal, and I presume that will be done as soon as they get their new striker on a free transfer. But on Monday, there are a number of comments raging, and I think we do need to dip into them before we get into that Charlton lineup. And one that I did spot was that Sargon said that Maguire fouled a lot. Monday, I think you need to respond to that one.
Most certainly. So big up to Box. He's saying pew, as in few. I don't know how you pronounce it properly, but it's like one of these ones. He was happy to come through the game. We've got Box again saying, great to see two debutants in Manu and Palestri. First full debut for Heaton after starting at United in 2002. Wow, that's 20 years ago. Plus, Linville, how you doing? If you watched the watch along, he done a prediction video. I think he said 2-1 or 3-1, didn't you, Linville? Hope you're doing well. And he's also saying here, I watched the whole of the game. My Turkish brothers sent me a link. See, a man with a no. If you want to know anything, speak to Linville. Very impressed by Palestri's camera. Says Box. Can't fathom why he's not had a debut before. Looks technically competent on the ball and knew when to play a pass. I think the game had changed by that point. Saragon saying here the second goal had two great passes from Casemiro to Palestri and then Palestri to Rashford. Wow, from MUFC regarding Rashford, a big love heart. Ben Alcock, how you doing, man? Welcome again to the Man United agenda. He said he was impressed with Fred tonight, made some quality passes. Alanga leads to loan moves, says MUFC. Linville again is saying here, Rashford's second goal, the control and finish was pure class. We got Saragon saying we should sell Alanga to Everton, or at least loan him out. Alanga says Mr. B, who done a brilliant watch along, saying Alanga licking too much. You can read it there. Alanga again is talking point. Alanga seems to lack the real attacking threat or initiative. Richard Herbert, how you doing? The brother of Anthony and the Man United fan. Hello, lads. Good win. Getting better. Rebuild is happening. Good times to come. I felt glad Rashford, he's resparked. Want to say hi to Jeff again. He's back. How you doing, Jeff? Everyone give him a wave. Welcome back. He said, big up, boys. Rashford on fire. Finally a B team getting the job done until the big boys come in and close it out at the end. I would say hi to Huddersfield Town TV. I saw you earlier with Craig on the Bournemouth channel. I gave you a big shout out and welcome back. He's saying, hey, hope you're doing well. And guys, go and check out Huddersfield Town TV on YouTube. Saragon again saying Harry Maguire's fouled a lot. I'm not going to respond to that because we're just getting into some stupid arguments. Ganacho man and a match here from Saragon, just randomly just going through quickly now. A lot of hellos. Big up to CALLULA. Had a debut today with Mr. B on the watch along. That's going to be a regular feature from now on. And obviously, Eddie Football Waffle, go check out his channel. He's saying 13 in the likes. Now there's 20 watching. Make sure you press the like and subscribe. And guys, if we ever ask you a question, let them know in the comments what you really feel about the game, because it's not just down to us. We want to know what you're feeling about everything, and we come through the comments later. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I just want to echo what you said on Monday about CALLULA and Mr. B's watch along. Absolutely fantastic. I was tuned in during the duration, and absolutely fantastic entertainment and engagement with the audience. So thanks very much to the two lads there and lassies there for their time in giving us a watch along today. But we do need to move along. But I do want to ask who your best performance of the night was. That's for the chat, and we will come to that towards the end of the show. So who was the performance of the night for you? But we need to talk about the Charlton opposition, because, lads, they've done very well to get to this position in the Cup. And I think in their mindset, they were probably thinking this is bonus territory. There's a couple of players that I picked out. I'm going to give 2 to Pat, 2 to Monday, 50-50 down middle to keep it fair, So, Pat, firstly for you, I'm going to give you Mr. Sessegnon and Mr. Tyler Blackett. And of course, we're not talking about former Manchester United player Tyler Blackett, but you have some notes on them, I believe.
Yeah, I thought Blackett done very well. I thought he was getting stuck in. He's a big, strong lad. He looked composed on the ball. He was giving Delo a bit of trouble, but Delo was well able for it. I think what was happening just towards the end of the second half, he was starting to get a bit tired of Delo running them ragged. And then what was happening then was Delo went off injured. What happened? His dream turned into a nightmare. Aaron Wan-Bissaka came on, fresher, livelier legs, and he ended up taking him off in the second half. But for young Sessegnon, I thought he done very well. He did fall victim to a Harry Maguire statue pose, and he ran into him towards the end of the second half. But I thought he was very well down that left-hand side. He was getting the ball into the likes of Leaburn and Saki, picking the ball up off George Dobson. I thought he done well at times. But for a team that was struggling against a far superior team, I thought these two lads shone on the night. And even though we are talking about the left-hand side of the pitch, I thought he done very well. And for coming up against Anthony, coming up against the low, that is a bit of a challenge in a half at itself. So I thought the two lads done very well.
Very good, very good. And Mr. B, don't let the boss man see that last comment I just saw flashing on the screen. You'll never hear the end of it. But on Monday, there's 2 more players that I think deserve honourable mention, and that is Saki and Leaburn. How did you feel about them, and what have you got to impart to our wonderful viewers about what you know about these players?
Well, I'm not boasting up or anything, but I do follow a lot of youth football, and I do watch a lot of games, youth football games, and so always keep myself in the know. So Saki's a Crystal Palace youngster. He's on loan there at the moment. Obviously, Crystal Palace is located quite near to Charlton, and that area, southeast London, that sort of have a lot of talent. And he's just another in a conveyor belt of talent coming through. He's good on the ball. He's quite young as well, and he's got, who knows, could make the grade. Otherwise, you can see him being a championship level, maybe Premiership level player in the future. He just it's a learning stage, this loan move for him, and hopefully he's getting great experience, not too far from home as well. So he should be comfortable there, and he's got a good coach as well to help him through. And he should be getting a lot of game time as well. So as you saw with him today, technically good on the ball, fit as well, and he's composed. And you're seeing a lot of good youngsters coming through from that sort of region. So I'll give him a lot of credit. As for Leaburn up front, you were asking, is he an Irishman? No, he's mixed race. His dad was Carl Leaburn, who used to play for Charlton in the early 90s when they were actually in the Premiership. And he did score at Old Trafford many years ago. I think he's in the FA Cup in 94. He scored at Old Trafford against Man United. So Carl Leaburn, that's the dad. Here's the son, 6'6", big unit up front. Is it favouritism because his dad's a legend of the club? Who knows? But I was watching him today and I thought he deserves it. Sometimes you think you can get a little favouritism, get in. Oh, that's what's his name's boy? Get him in. But he's proved he's got a bit of talent. I would like to see him be a bit more rougher and tougher with his size and put himself about a bit. He did try a little with Martinez. You can see he was trying to level over to Martinez to try to win those battles, but he didn't really get much success because they didn't really have much of the ball. But I saw enough. There was a few nice touches for him, especially in the second half, where he sort of tried to drive through, didn't pass a couple of players and tried to bring people in. But as a big man, you know what we want, what Ten Hag would want from someone like that, and he wouldn't be on Ten Hag's radar because he didn't show enough today. He got hold of the ball, pop it off early, and bring other players into play, and that's what we hope to get from our guy. Weghorn when he turns up as well. Just to add to Sessegnon as well, Sessegnon was in the under 17 World Cup squad who won in India a few years ago with the likes of Angel Gomez and Foden and all these boys. So he's come through the ranks through England setup. He was at Fulham for a long time with his brother, Ryan Sessegnon, who proved to be the better player. Ryan's actually left-footed. Stephen is right-footed, but he's playing left back. He can play either side, right back or left back. And I think that's his level, League One or Championship, from what I've seen, because I've always watched him. And unfortunately, he hasn't been able to make the grade at Fulham. You can see he's on loan, I think, now, and he could eventually be sold.
Just one more honourable mention before you wrap up the opposition. I think the goalkeeper deserved a bit of praise tonight. Ashley Maynard Brewer. I thought he done very well towards the end as well. He was solid throughout the game, but towards the end he pulled out a few good saves, and it could have been more than 3.
Very good, very good. Were they ruthless and aggressive, to quote one of our other panelists?
Look, they had to be aggressive, as in the press. What they did do, they, like a lot of Premiership teams, you can see the big, vast difference in fitness. Now, I'm not saying, but one of my good friends who played pro, and I've been like, basically, I went to play pro in New Zealand many years ago, and I got off the plane, went to an army camp, and I was like, my gosh, how do I keep up with this? It was unbelievable. Even my friend Davis came with me. Then when we came back to the UK, he went on to play for Woking, and we were fit. Imagine a year of pro football. We were fit, and he went to Woking, which is like lower league, and he was puking up on the pre-season because it was another step up of fitness that you just don't understand. And I saw that today with, like Pat was saying, with Lee Byrne and Tyler Blackett guy on the wing. They were blowing out their backside a lot of the time because there's a different level of fitness. The Man United pitch is huge and vast, so they had to camp back and sort of stay in their little unit and play as a team and not get caught out. That's why they kept it at 1-0 for so long. It's only when they tried to open up again when the goals started to fly in. So I think they realised, wow, we're blowing. Every time we break, we have to get back. And then it gets to the point where you don't want to break. You haven't got the legs to get up. And I saw that in their faces today. So there's a major difference. No matter what people say, I think you can have quality players like in there, but if you haven't got the fitness takes you a long way. Premiership fitness is up there. League One fitness is down there, and they experienced that today.
Very good, very good. Now, Monday, you are correct in that we need to move on to talk a bit about our own team. I'm just going to hit you with a quick few stats. 70% possession for United, 21 goal attempts, 612 attempted passes, of which they completed 534, 5 shots on target, 9 off, and in all, pretty dominant on the stats front. But obviously now, the first half, we're going to get a little bit deeper into that. There was the senior players of Maguire, Martinez, Fred, and Scott McSauce. How much did they influence the younger guys around them and kind of keep them on track? Pat?
I thought Scott McTominay done very well tonight. His positional play was very well. He was forcing Charlton out to the left and right wings every chance they got, and then they were tortured by Malacia and Dalot. I thought Harry Maguire did not only just play well, but he looks like he's becoming, and now people aren't going to like what I'm going to say, but he looks a more confident defender. He looks like he has a better attitude. He looks like he's coming out. His chest is up. He's not slumped in the shoulders. He doesn't look like he's dragging his knuckles. He's an upset footballer. He looks happier. He looks like he's coming back. Is he coming back to the team full time? Is he going to get sold? We don't know. But if he keeps going on the trajectory that he's on, he could get better and better. And I hope that's what happens. Scott McTominay, another one I thought done very well in the first half was Fred. I thought he looked very well. He was moving the ball around a bit. He was getting the ball out to Malacia, getting it out to Anthony, and was getting back in. Anthony got a couple of shots in the half space, which eventually led to his goal, which I thought was very good. Where did the ball start from? The ball started from the man himself, Harry Maguire. The ball came, played it out from the back, across the pitch, out to Malacia. Malacia takes it down, back into Fred. Fred brings it across the pitch. Fred brings it back over to Anthony. Anthony brings it into the half space. He takes it out onto his left, drags the defender across and whips it in. Tore the side of the net off. And I'm telling you, lads, if we can be practicing them moves all the time and playing them, it's compared to the football we had to watch last year, it's positive. That's all I can say. I know it's only Charlton, but it's positive.
Micheál O'Hare, eat your heart out for that commentary from Pat. And if you don't know who Micheál O'Hare is, he was a famous Irish commentator that did GA coverage in Ireland. So Pat has given us some shades of Micheál O'Hare there. But on Monday, we had some Samba-style football there for the first goal. And obviously, there is a man in this channel that has long been the great defender of what was formerly known as Bradford Fred. Has he been vindicated now for standing up for this man?
Are we going to sit here and have a conversation about Fred playing in a game? Let's put this into perspective, guys. Playing in a game where we had all the play, we were in their half, we had all the possession because they sat back. They didn't really close you down and engage you until we were in their half, the opposition half. And then it was like half-hearted as well because they had to keep their shape. They didn't want to run out of shape and get a triangle played around them. So in this sort of circumstances, yeah, Fred looked pretty good. I like the way Fred was dictating the play in the first half by playing it nice, sharp, getting out his feet, popping it and going. He's a little fireball, isn't he? He's really energetic and he was getting himself about, didn't have to tackle, didn't have to do much because it was all about the play. So this is where we look at Fred and say, right, has he got the quality to break teams down and to move the ball fast? And he did show that today. But I have to say, even though it was like a small area they were playing in and he was popping it around and coming deep, getting the ball, recycling it over and over again, I still don't think he's got the quality at Premiership level to really do that. Until he does that consistently, then we can start talking about him. It's all right raving about a performance against a League One side. That's the reality of it. But fair play, he did play pretty well. And like Pat said, for the goal, he sort of everything was over one side of the pitch. We were popping it around Garnacho side of the pitch. And then suddenly he gets out of his feet and drives to the opposite side because Charlton were running like 2 banks of 4, shuffled over, and then they had to shuffle over because Anthony was free. And that's why Anthony made a little decoy run, created space for himself, as Pat said, lovely curling shot into the goal. But then we're talking about that, but then I'm saying we want to see more patterns of play. We didn't see us pass the ball across the 6-yard box until the second half, until Ericsson came on and Garnacho and that kind of thing, working the ball in those sort of areas. So if you compare Ericsson with Fred and the contribution they did, the time that Ericsson came on, he'd done a lot more, I feel, than Fred with his intelligence, his passing between the lines, and just pacing of the game. Which I thought was beautiful, and he got himself into the block, into the areas. And I think with Ericsson, because he's got more respect maybe than Fred and Manu and Kobe, people will pass to him. He's always showing, so you say, yeah, give, feet. And people know, if we want this to work, I'm going to give it to Ericsson, and I might get some love here, So there's a difference there, and I think we have to be mindful about the opposition when we start praising people.
But at the same time, OMONDI, as much as I'm happy with Fred's performance tonight, Christian Eriksen cannot play every single game. And I don't want to see Christian Eriksen playing against anybody in the EFL Cup avoid my way, especially when we're playing Man City on Saturday. So is Fred our EFL Cup player? Is he going to be happy with being a second string player? Because he's never going to be a first team player again. He is a squad player. And I must say, I am happy with him being a squad player because I think he'd be a good addition as a backup with a good attitude and not sitting on the bench kicking boots around and moaning in the background. So I think it's a good trait. I think it's a good player to have there.
Most certainly. I mean, Ben Accock is saying here, Fred is a good squad player for us.
Yeah, agree,
now for us, So big up Ben. Ben agrees, and I think a lot of people in the comments were talking about Fred because Rebel posed the question, who was man of the match? And obviously he was outstanding in a lot of areas, So fair play to Fred and the people in the comments as well.
Before we actually get to the comments in the middle, when we take the sauce for the halftime, I do want to ask you about Anthony. Obviously, he scored now in back-to-back games. Whether there were the most stylish goals, that's not really in the debate. But will these goals bring the confidence that we need back to Anthony? Because obviously, he had that particular situation that happened around the new year. He wanted to keep it private, but the papers are after talking about it. But is this going to be the basis that we see what we paid for from Anthony now that he's got goals in back-to-back games? This is what I want to ask you.
I think Anthony looked well. He looked like he faded towards the end of the second half. I think he's going to have problems if Jadon Sancho comes back fully fit. He's going to have real competition then. I know Jadon, I think, what we've seen in pre-season, Erik ten Hag prefers to play him out on the left. But if he comes back with a bang, Anthony's going to have some proper competition there on the right-hand side at the same time. So he just doesn't look 100%. I don't know whether it's match fit, match focused. He's in their game and he's playing well, but he doesn't look like he's towards the end of the second half. He gave the ball away a couple of times. And now I know he has that in him and anyway, and some of the best players give the ball away, but he was doing it he just didn't look focused to me. And I don't know whether that's the player or it's just a confidence thing, or it's a fitness thing. That's my problem with Anthony at the moment. Not that he's a bad player. He's just not right at the moment. There's something with him.
I think Anthony turned up on his debut. Remember, he scored against Arsenal, scored in consecutive games, and he dropped off a little bit. I think people do their data and homework on players and double up on him a lot of the time. I think he's not a player, as we see. I think you have to understand how he plays and how he can be beneficial to the team. He gets the ball, stands people up, and then looks to give and go. To beat a man. He doesn't drive at people, take it down the wing, cross it, that kind of thing. He looks to give and go, quick feet. He anticipates defender diving in and just turn it around him and pass it into a man, give and go, or player trying to, he's a bit heavy with his passing. So he has to get used to his teammates. He has to get used to the culture of English football. He has to get used to adapting to become a bit more professional as well. And the team have to get used to playing with him. A bit like with Sancho, people are moaning, he doesn't do this, doesn't do this. But you've got to understand what they're good at. They're good, creative, wide playmakers, and they can make things happen. And it's about familiarity again. Once they start to get familiar with their players, once Bruno starts to shuffle over to that side with him and link up with him, you'll see more things happening. It's just about bringing these guys into play and then being comfortable in the side. And I do think what's happened recently with Arsenal, let's try to side this guy Modric and Shakhtar Donetsk were measuring up to Anthony, saying, well, Anthony's valued at £85 million. We value Modric a bit higher than that. This is why the bargaining's going, because Anthony's been established now, a wide player, £85 million, young, ticks all the boxes. He's playing for Man United. You see what I'm saying here? So also, I think, how do you measure up Anthony to compare to other left-footed players who play on the right-hand side in the league? And I was watching Mahrez the other day, and I'm thinking, this guy's marvellous. Scored a lovely free kick, and he's been consistent since 2015, 14. Since he's arrived in the Prem, he won the league. He's got signed for Man City, and he's been fantastic, one-on-one with anyone. So that's the level I'd like to see Anthony, and I think he can get there to be Mahrez. That, to me, that's how you measure up.
Sorry, but let's ask a quick question to the two of you. We spoke about the levels of the Premier to the Championship. Do you think there's levels of fitness from the LDVs to the Premier League?
Of course.
Yeah. And that's a problem we've had for Sancho. That's a problem we've had for Anthony, and maybe for Donny as well. And the only reason why it didn't show for the likes of Erling Haaland is because the chap's a freak of nature.
Well, he did play in Germany, though, you must remember as well.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
But only Sancho come from Germany. I think people have to be professional when they come here. I saw a lovely interview with Adam McCullough and Dalot. And Dalot is the first man at training, last man to leave. Sounds like Ronaldo, doesn't it? But he's got that professionalism and he's learned that from Ronaldo. So hopefully that can rub off. And I have to see good characteristics, mental characteristics, professionalism that will take players a long way. So I'm sure the manager will be noticing that.
Absolutely. No, obviously, we are coming up to the second half, but there is 25 of you in the chat. So if you are new to the channel, please do consider giving us a like, share, and subscribe. And it will help us get out to more Manchester United fans like yourselves and discuss the important matters surrounding United. But on Monday, give us a quick flavour of the comments, because we do need to start dipping into the second half, because Solo is watching the electric bill. So we've got to keep an eye on things.
Limbo, I'm coming to you always, because I know you're going to bump heads with me, and you're saying here, just remember who we was playing, stop hyping up Maguire, put him up against a good team, and then go back to that sack of SHID we all know, which is Realist. He always talks it real. Big up to Ruby Productions. Go and check out Man United Realist TV. He's saying kudos, Pat. Maguire did well. So he's agreeing with Ben. Is saying here, Fred is a good squad player. As we know, there's a lot of talk about Fred. And also, Box is saying it's a shame Iqbal didn't get a run out. And I think Zoe was saying Iqbal, Ten Hag doesn't seem to like Iqbal. I think he does. I think he likes him a lot.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of clips. Rashford on fire, says Stuart Marshall. Ten Hag's worked wonders with him. Regarding Anthony, Ben saying Anthony's first season and he will grow into the squad. Palestri says Stumpy is more competition for Anthony. We've got Saragon saying Anthony gets a bit too much stick. He grasps every game. He does his defensive duties. First season, he's only 22. I like that comment. Stuart Marshall saying, would like to see Palestri get more minutes. Hopefully will now. Zoe saying, I don't like Anthony. I'm sorry, just being honest. Emma saying here, I wouldn't say so. He's still training with the first team. I just think he might need a bit more time. Every player is different in their development. That's a great point. Again, great comments here. Box was just saying, I think Anthony might need to cut out some of his Brazilian flair from the game to benefit in overall productivity. Want to say hi again to Cormac Maguire. I love the name Maguire, and you're welcome. And he's saying here that Anthony goal, though. Lads have improved dramatically since the arrival of Ed Ten Hag. Lots of positives. Should have won the game more comfortably, though. Big up to the comments.
But there was a lot of changes as well, wasn't there?
Yeah,
There
second
would have
half,
been, yeah.
definitely. Yeah, we made the changes early. What were you? I mean, when he made those changes, do you think he's trying to secure the game? Because he took off the wide man, didn't he? He took off Anthony.
It brought on Rashford, he brought on Casemiro, and he brought on Eriksen, and I was completely shocked. But as a manager, he seems to himself, that's it. I want to get these lads in. I want to get their legs warmed up, and I want to get them ready for the weekend. But when he took off Alanga, he took off Kobe Manu, and he took off Anthony. He completely changed the game. Now, Rashford was a bit quiet when he first came on, but my God, when he got warmed up, he got warmed up. So back to you, Reb.
Yeah. You kind of stole a bit of my thunder, but I'll forgive you, Pat. but I did want to just mention because Monday mentioned the chap that Arsenal are chasing. That actually, if you were to look back again, Nikolai Pepe would be in the original transfer market setting for that. So they can't blame us for the Anthony price because they paid what they paid for that individual who's no longer with the club. But as you said, Pat, he released the Krakens in the second half. Casemiro, Rashford, and Eriksen all came on in the 60th minute. And before we kind of give adage to Saint Rashford, there has been a quote that Fabrizio has given from the interview with Ten Hag following the game regarding Mr. Rashford. He's a key player. He won't leave. Ten Hag was very clear in meetings with Man United board last June, and Marcus now is literally flying. 15 goals and 6 assists in 25 appearances this season. New contract is a priority for Eric Ten Hag. But lads, obviously we were only the 1 goal ahead coming into second half. How much was the tempo upped when we brought on these senior players and the very much informed Marcus Rashford?
I think, to be honest with you, when the game kicked off, we had a quick opportunity. Fred got the ball over to Aaron Wan-Bissaka on the right-hand side of the pitch. Aaron Wan-Bissaka sliding tackled it again, not crossed it, across the box to Alanga. Alanga puts it in the back of the net. Offside. Okay, let's get on with it. It's not in the back of the net. The game went fairly quiet for the next 10 minutes or so, and I think Eric Ten Hag picked up on that, and that's why we saw the inclusion of Marcus Rashford, Casemiro, and Eriksen, and maybe just to get their legs a bit of a stretch for the big game that's coming the weekend to make sure they're nicely warmed up. That's so. I'm not gonna lie. I got a few drifty eyes there from the 50th to the 60th minute, and I think Eric Ten Hag must have been doing it on the sideline as well because it got a bit boring. It did, I must admit.
Yeah, I think it's about probing because we're controlling the game. It's about probing, and I think the subs were really crucial because at that point of the game, at 1-0, you could say as Charlton player, boy, I'd be deflated if we went to 2-0. But if we got that goal, we could go to penalties, because go straight to penalties, and then we got opportunities 50-50 going through. So I think they were still hungry. You could see the desire in them, but their spirit broke as soon as the Casemiro and Eriksen came in, and they were the block in the midfield, and they would just kept recycling the ball, kept dictating play, and it's like, bloody hell, suddenly we have to sort of work even harder here and keep our shape, you know. So there were a few opportunities for Charlton in the second half where they tried to break. They had a free kick, they had a few shots, almost, but half chances, something we dealt with and we're supposed to deal with. But obviously, with the addition of Pellistri, I think a lot of people talk about him. Great debut. I mean, he's a right winger. He's another guy. He's got good technique. He's not rapid, but he's got good control, a good understanding of the game as well. And we saw that with his decision making. I don't know if you guys remember pre-season. We were in Oceania and we played a team and he squared it for someone to score. We beat Liverpool. Was it Liverpool we beat by 4 or 5-0? I think Pellistri laid a goal across. He was in the half space and just passed it square to a man to slot it away. And he did the same today. Really good decision making. Really, and I think the development comes with the physicality. Obviously, he's played in La Liga, the top league as well, for Alvarez for a couple of years now. He's been out there, so it's just, you see the intelligence is there, the technique is there. Maybe it's just about the physicality, and they're just slowly bringing him in through. I don't know where his future lies, but as fans have seen him today, I'm sure that was a promising performance because decision making was spot on. And I've seen that a couple of times now, so I can really sort of rave about this guy, and hopefully he can get the physicality and get stronger and be a mainstay in our squad going forward.
Absolutely, OMONDI. Now, before we get on to Sir Marcus of the Rashfords, we did have 2 yellow cards in the second half, one for Malacia, one for Harry Maguire. Anything to be concerned about there with the tackling, or was it just a case of smart, intelligent defending to take the foul in certain positions? You're muted, Pat.
We can't hear you, Pat.
The Malacia one.
Leave Harry for me.
Yeah, the Malacia one was a little bit crazy. He didn't need to do it. And when the referee was reaching into his back pocket, he looked like he was going to give a yellow, but he just took a no, and then he took the foam out and he sprayed it on the ground. And I think even Malacia drew a breath of relief after that happened, because I wouldn't like to see a player like him get sent off, because he is a good little hard player. He put in some good tackles, and it would have been a bad end to a good night for a good, promising young player. And what I'd like to say, while we're talking about Malacia being a good, promising young player, we have Kobe, we have Garnacho, we have Sedan Iqbal, who can't get onto the pitch, we have Palestri, and we have Amad Diallo playing well at the moment on loan. Isn't it so promising now at the moment that we have all this bright young stars coming through? And let's hope a lot of them can fulfill their potential.
And with the second yellow card, as you're asking in Rebel, it was Harry Maguire. I think we were pressing him. We had a high line. The ball got released. It got broken. He was on the halfway line on the right-hand side. And he went to... This is the thing with Harry Maguire, his reading or interception of the game. He went to close down the guy and he got nutsed. He was squared up and he just blocked the guy's run. And that was a natural yellow card.
That was Stephen Session. Stephen Session.
Yeah, there you go. It's a professional foul, but it's a wise foul as well. You take a card, you know it's never going to be a red, and you can hold up play and get yourselves back in shape. So fair play to him. But this stuff happens, and I like the intelligence there.
Absolutely, lads. Absolutely. Now, we do need to move on to Marcus Rashford, because after those 4 minutes where he scored his 2 goals, you could see that Eric Ten Hag was throwing on the shades and calling it an evening because the job was done. But lads, tell me about Rashi's goals. He's obviously on fire at the moment, and we do need it with the games that are ahead.
Well, Palestri getting that ball out on the right-hand side. As OMONDI was speaking about earlier on, he looks composed. He's not lightning quick. He keeps the ball close to his body when he's running with it, and he squares the ball across that pitch. Silky smooth, over to the feet of Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford would have hit the ball outside of the stadium last year with the form he was on. This year, he looks like the goal must be about 18 feet wide for him, because he just doesn't seem to be able to miss at the moment. He's so confident in his own ability, and he just looks happier playing for Manchester United, and I couldn't be happier for him.
Yeah, most certainly. Great goal. Do you want to say hi to Miss Melina, Arsenal fan? As you can see by her shirt there, we will see you on the 22nd of January. That's right. You show her the badge there, Rebel. As for the second goal, obviously Casemiro's come on this point. And I think it's hard to gauge because they were stretched. They had to really try and go for it at this point. 10, 15 minutes to go. And that's when the opportunities open up, which weren't there early in the game, like I said, when they were 2 banks of 4 and keeping it tight and not creating any gaps. And these gaps were there now to be exploited. It's a shame Elanga wasn't there to finish his dinner at that stage of the game. Casemiro had the ball on the left-hand side, just inside his half. Head up, drove into a little bit further, had options, and he played a sort of outside the foot pass into Rashford, where there was no defenders, a big gap that he could have parted the ways with, like Moses. And he got first touch was good. Keeper came out and he just stopped it home with his left foot. There's claims. I think Emma was saying it's offside. There was no VAR, unfortunately, and it was given. So it was a good run, good goal. And Rashford's come on and scored a double, didn't he? Was that a double he scored?
Yeah, double, yeah.
There you go. Nice brace from Rashford. And Benny McCarthy here from Zoe Media House saying has to be given credit. A lot of people saying on the Man United agenda that
coach,
he's having a big impact as a coach. We don't know evidence for that, but it does seem it's not a coincidence really that he's come in and we're seeing a lot of better build-up play and decision making. And look at Rashford's goal record at the moment. So maybe there's some truth to that. Yeah, until we get more evidence, I'm not sure.
Absolutely, and I think we do have to give Eric Ten Hag a lot of credit for the revolution that he's had at Manchester United. He's reconnected the reserves with the main team, and he's taken a personal interest in the youths. He even said that he hasn't been unusual for him to watch the under 9s, under 10s as he's walking home and staying there and watching them for 50 minutes, an hour, whatever they are playing for. But before we come to the man of the match, in your viewpoint, Omondi and Pat, do you want to give us a final flavour of the comments on Monday, and then we'll wrap up?
Yeah, obviously, CALLULA's saying here, because obviously CALLULA was watching the game live and the live watch along. Go and check that out, guys. Thanks to everyone who tuned in for that. CALLULA, it was her debut as well. She done magnificent. She should be the man of the match, I believe. I was going to drop that, as I've already saving that for later. But CALLULA's saying here, we needed the changes, as at that point we should have been more than 1-0 ahead, and we wasn't. The starting 11 should have been able to do the job, so they would have been rested for Saturday. So she, rather than bring the players on, she would have wanted them to do the job. Eddie's saying here about Palestri, hopes he can be one of the small players like Foden that can adapt to the physicality of the league with good movement and good skills as well. And check out Eddie's channel, Eddie Football Waffle. I want to see what you say about this game, Eddie. Eddie's also saying Maguire getting nutmegged by League One wingers. That might be suspect. Coming back to you, Cormac, Maguire, he's saying City on the weekend. We've got to look forward to that, and actually looking forward to it. It's come on, you Reds, most certainly. And we've got a lovely comment here from K Mbappe, and thanks for joining us, K Mbappe. I hope you really join us in the future. He's saying, why Ten Hag not giving Palestri more chances? He's better than Elanga, he's saying there. There you go.
Thanks very much, lads. And Zoe's Media House, just the last comment from her. If Sancho came back with the same form as Marcus Rashford, we're in for an amazing end to the season. Here, and hopefully he does. But lads, it's man of the match time. Who are you giving it to?
Can I let Pat go first while I just consider and a few things?
Go on now, throw me in front of the bus. I'm gonna go for the man who changed the game. Okay. And you can only give it to one man, and that's Marcus Rashford.
I always have difficulty. I would give it to a starter, someone who starts the game. Obviously, I was saying at that point of the game, it's easy to score goals because they start to open up. I want to see who played well when they were really tight and compact. And for me, I think Fred, a lot of people said earlier about Fred, his performance was really good. But it's a tough one. It's a tough one. There's no one completely outstanding. I'm not going to pick a player that came on. All right, I'm going to go with Fred. I thought Fred worked the ball really well. And
well, knock me down.
Yeah, Fred it is for me. I don't know what you guys think in the comments, but I've seen K Mbappe saying Garnacho, who played the whole game. That's a good shout because Garnacho was.
That's fair. That's a very fair point.
Yes, maybe Garnacho then. Yeah, it's good shout there, guys.
And as Zoe just saying that the cameo from Palestri is what changed the tempo of the game. So there's definitely division amongst the viewers.
But it was a game changer after 60 minutes. Up to that, it wasn't exactly a free-flowing match where we were dominant and there was individuals running amok. So I think, now that I think back about it, Palestri did change the tempo of the game with his performance when he came on.
I just think you have to look at the situation that these players come onto. That's why they were open up and easy to look good against. Put him in against a tight block. How is he going to perform? It's interesting that we'd have to see. But they did play well when they came on. Heaton looked impervious in front of goal. Garnacho from Paul Turney. And Martinez didn't put his foot wrong. He actually did a couple of times, but his name's not Maguire, so it won't be recognised. And Heaton was brilliant. Credit him, says CALLULA.
Absolutely. And now there is 28 of you in the chat. So if you haven't given us a like, share, and subscribe, please do consider doing so. I just want to remind you that we might be going a bit earlier tomorrow and Thursday due to other games taking place. So keep an eye on the YouTube channel for when we go live. There'll be a transfer show of some sort tomorrow. There'll be a Man City preview on Thursday. And of course, as always, Friday night takeaway on Friday. And the watch log will be returning for the Manchester Derby on Saturday. But I want to thank Omondi Juma, Pat Lawless, and the 32 wonderful people in chat for joining us throughout the show today. Please do continue to give us your comments on the game, and we will come back to you after the show. But from us, have a blessed evening. Thank you, and good night all.